strong foreign policy needs to begin much closer to home, specifically right here on our own borders. If you're one of the dopes that think that, hardworking families just trying to feed their kids, those are the only ones crossing the borders illegally at night, they're just trying to get sandwiches for their kid. Right. Maybe this exclusive video showing a well-connected terrorist recruiter in Bahrain threatening to smuggle a biological weapon through the tunnels under the Mexican border will wake you up from your utopian open borders dream.
4 pounds of anthrax in a suitcase this big, carried by a fighter through tunnels from Mexico into the U.S., are guaranteed to kill 330,000 Americans within a single hour if it is properly spread in population centers there. What a horrifying idea. 9/11 will be small change in comparison. Am I right?
He goes on to suggest that Al-Qaeda will work with what he claims are 300,000 American white supremacist militias who also hate the U.S. government. If you're a longtime viewer of my program, you know that I've been talking about that unholy alliance for a while. This dirtbag might look like just any old radical teacher, but he is not. He is very close friends with Osama bin Laden, who just released a new terror tape against the United States. Oh, good. I love the last one so much. And Mullah Omar, the leader of the Taliban, also good friends with him. But this is so weird because I thought terrorists wouldn't hate us anymore because we elected Barack Hussein Obama. Oops, I'm on American television. Can I use his middle name? Didn't they just want to kill us because we invaded Iraq? No, that's an excuse to shift the blame. Terrorists attack America for a lot of reasons, but one of them is they see us as the great Satan. In Christian terms, you can understand that as they believe that we are the literal Antichrist, or at least that's what they're spinning to their own people. And yet there are still those who buy into the lie that America is somehow or another out to get Islam, that we're obsessed with fighting them. They cite the first Gulf War, the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, Abu Ghraib, the alleged abuses at Gitmo. But common sense says Americans are not waging war on Muslims. We're waging war on terrorists. If we hated Muslims so much, then why would we bail out the Muslim country of Kuwait in the first Gulf War? I know, oil. Liberate millions of Muslims from Taliban in Afghanistan, and liberate millions more Muslims in Iraq from a dictator who is killing his own people. Yet, after all of that, 8 in 10 Americans believe that Muslim countries have an unfavorable view of the United States. You think? Really? Our own president ignores our good work in the Middle East when he talks overseas about repairing our image and apologizes for our mistakes. And there are a ton of mistakes that America has made. Some of them are meeting and being allies with the guys with the big swords. I beg you, Mr. President, please, stop wasting your time on these apology tours in the Middle East, because it's not going to mean anything. America doesn't care about religion, or at least the religion over there, or if you have a different religion. And for the others, terrorists are just terrorists. They'll want us dead no matter how many apologies you offer. And as a side note, Mr. President, it bothered a lot of people here in America when you said we weren't a Christian nation. That's okay, I've read the Founding Fathers. I know what they said. But it probably bothers a lot of people also when you say that we are now one of the largest Muslim countries in the world. That's wrong on so many levels, I don't even know where to begin. Only about 2.3 million of the world's 1.5 billion Muslims live here in the U.S. We're not even in the top 30 based on population. But maybe you were thinking Islam is the fastest growing religion in the U.S. No. No. Actually, non-denominational Christianity and witchcraft are growing faster. Actually, maybe you were thinking that it's the fastest growing religion in federal prisons, which it is, with 30 to 40,000 conversions a year. Another thing that maybe we should pay attention to. So instead of repairing our image, how about we start repairing our borders? You know what I mean? Let's start being serious about things. If you want to pander to the Middle East, go ahead, do that. Great. Well, let's learn from the model of the Saudis, not the part where they're chopping people's heads off for hands, They're in the middle right now of building a 560-mile, triple-layer, state-of-the-art fence to seal off their entire border with Iraq. What a bunch of racists. Now, with us is the Washington Times reporter who broke this story, Sarah Carter. Sarah, who is the guy that was on the tape? He's a legitimate threat to us?
Well, he is. He is a Al-Qaeda recruiter. He is not some quacky professor that he was made out to be in February when the video first aired on Al Jazeera and then it disappeared. No one paid much attention to it. What I was able to find out from intelligence officials and counterterrorism officials is that this is an Al-Qaeda recruiter by the name of al-Nafisi who has had very close ties to bin Laden, who had met with bin Laden numerous times prior to September 11th, and has even recently, within the last few years, they believe, has been in contact with him. He is also very close to Mullah Omar, who heads the Taliban in Afghanistan.
All right, let me take another piece of the video and you tell us about it. Here's another one from the terrorist recruiter al-Nafisi.
There is no need for airplanes, conspiracies, timings, and so on. One person with the courage to carry 4 pounds of anthrax will go to the White House lawn and will spread the confetti all over them. And then we will do these cries of joy.
This is something. I mean, is this just a nonsense recruiting, or is this something that we have evidence that he really means this and he has the ability to do these things?
Look, absolutely, they mean to do us harm. This is no nonsense. This is an insight into Al-Qaeda. What we're seeing, what we're peering into in this video is Al-Qaeda's intentions. And Al-Qaeda has thought and looked at the U.S. border with Mexico as an entry point into the United States, either for the movement of foot soldiers or for the movement of a weapon of mass destruction. This is something very serious. I mean, I think they expect us not to believe them, not to believe that they're capable of doing this. Very similar to the situation that happened before September 11th, when a lot of people dismissed the idea of planes being used as weapons in the United States. I mean, this is a very serious threat. It's not something that we should ignore.
Let me show you another piece of the videotape, America, where he says basically what Sarah is saying, that you need to be able to take them seriously. They're not a bunch of people that are living in caves. Watch this.
The Americans are afraid that the weapons of mass destruction might fall into the hands of terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda and others. There is good reason for the Americans' fears. It had laboratories in North Afghanistan. It had scientists, chemists, and nuclear physicists. They are nothing like they are portrayed by these mercenary journalists. Backward Bedouins living in caves. No, no, by no means.
Something that absolutely, I was in Afghanistan for 2 months last summer, and believe me when I tell you this, a lot of the people as I traveled through Afghanistan would say to me, you know, the United States sees us as backwards. Remember, we pushed out the Soviet Union. Remember, we are a counterinsurgency and we know how to fight. And when they make these threats, when an Al-Qaeda recruiter at this high of a level makes these kind of threats and says, we will be willing to do this, and we have had chemical plants before in Afghanistan, and we have scientists and we have researchers, we have to take this seriously. Because remember, the people that were on those planes, those 19 hijackers, were not poor Bedouins, were not poor people who were recruited and misled by Al-Qaeda. The majority of them were university graduates with good jobs and even some that had relationships. So this is an insight into Al-Qaeda at the highest levels and into the types of people they're willing to recruit. And we can't be afraid to face the facts of what they're willing to do.
Okay, Sarah, I appreciate it. I'm out of time. I'd like you to check and see the date stamp on this, because maybe this happened before they knew that Barack Obama was going to be president, because then it's all... Anyway, let's go now to Yaron Brook. He is the executive director